All right, here we go. Algebra 2. I'm going to write Algebra 2 on the top of the page. You might have a something that looks like this. And so that's great. You can follow along that way. If you just have a plain piece of paper, you can follow along this way. We're all going through the same material. 1-1 is what we're going to look at today. Expressions and formulas. All right, first we're going to look at how to evaluate expressions. So you have a box that looks like this. And step 1 is going to be to substitute the given value for each variable. Substitute given value for each variable. And that's step 1. Step 2 is PEMDAS. So PEMDAS. And this should be review for those of you who are in Algebra 2. But we're going through it anyways, and it's all good. So P stands for parentheses. Parentheses, I don't remember how to spell that. E is for exponents. M is for multiply. D is for divide. A is for add. And S is for subtract. And this is the order that we need to do our operations. Parentheses first, then exponents, then multiply, and divide. These are the same step. We do these together. And the add and subtract, those are also the same step. We don't need to add first and then subtract second. We can do these together. Multiply and divide together, and then we can add and subtract together. But it's best to do these left to right. Just to be helpful. It's not necessarily necessary, but going left to right can help you keep everything under control. Okay, let's evaluate an expression. Example, evaluate expression. And, okay, so when m equals 3 and p equals -4. So we're going to evaluate this expression for when these variables are these values. And here's the expression, m plus p minus 1 squared. So first we are going to do step 1, which is to substitute the given value for each variable. So m is 3 plus p, which is -4, minus 1 squared. Now we do some PEMDAS here, and we look at our parentheses first. -4 minus 1 is going to give us a -5. 3 plus -5 squared. Now we don't get to add this 3 yet. We need to first say -5 times -5. So that's going to give me a positive 25. And 3 plus 25 is 8. Oops, 8. 28. Now, let's do a U-try. And so we're going to do the same kind of thing, evaluate the expression when m equals 12 and n equals -1. Here's your expression, m plus 3 minus n squared. All right, so you're going to work this out on your own. You're going to pause it in just a moment and then do your work, and then we'll come back and look at it together. So follow what we just did with this last example right here. You should be all good. Go ahead and pause now. All right, here we go. Let's do this one together. So m is 12 and n is -1. 12 plus 3 minus -1 squared. We do with the parentheses first. 3 plus 1 is 4. 12 plus 4 squared. Oh, I should have done the equals over there. Sorry. Anyway, here we go. And 4 squared is 16. That's 16. 16 plus 12 is 28. 28 again? 2 28s in a row? That's crazy. Let's do 2 more U tries. Same thing, m is 12, n is -1. This time I've got m divided by 2n plus 4, and, oh no, just one more. That's it, just that one. Okay, so go ahead and pause and do this work. Here we are back. Let's see how you did. I'm going to substitute 12 for m. 12 divided by 2 times -1, which is n, plus 4. Okay, I've got to do all of this mess before I can do this mess. Now, I can multiply here first, or I can divide here first. Either way, I should end up with the same answer. And then I can add. I'm just going to go left to right, since this is all multiplication and division. So just to keep everything square, 12 divided by 2 is 6. 6 times 1, 6 times -1 plus 4 is what I have left. 6 times -1 is -6 plus 4, which gives me -2. Now, let's just, for kicks real quick, let's do this in a different order. Let's do 2 times -1 first. So 12 divided by 2 times -1, which is -2, plus 4. 12 divided by -2 is -6 plus 4, and that's going to get me -2. So look, I still got the same answer. Now, if I would have added this 4 in first, I would not get this answer, and I would be wrong. And I would be crazy for trying to do stuff out of order of PEMDAS. Come on, people. All right. Let's do one more. Let's see. Actually, let's do 2 more. Now, instead of, so on your notes, if you have this guy, it might say examples up there. I'm not doing another example. We've done enough. Let's have you guys do 2 more U tries. So we're going to up the complication level just a little bit. So when h equals 4, j equals -1, and k equals -0.5. All right, I'm going to give you 2 examples to do here, and then we're almost done with our notes. So here are your examples to do on your own. H squared times k plus h times h minus k. So you're going to do that one. And then we've got j plus 3 minus h squared. All right, so get to work on these 2 guys one at a time, and then we'll come back and see how you did. Go ahead and pause and get to work right now. All right, let's do this. Let's plug in 4 for h, and k is -0.5. You know what? I'm going to change that to 1/2, -1/2. I just feel like doing that. That's okay, right? You can keep it as a decimal point if you want to. I prefer the fraction. Here's h again, 4. 4 minus -1/2. Phew, this one's gross. All right, let's do it though. 4 squared, I've got to do my, I've got this parentheses here to work on. I'm going to do that in just a second. I'm going to do this power here as well, this exponent. 4 squared is 16. 16 times negative 1/2 there, plus 4. 4 plus 1/2 minus a negative is 4.5. Okay, gross. Let's keep going. Negative 1/2 of 16, that's going to get me negative 8. Plus 4 times 4.5. So we can do this. 4 times 4 is 16. And then half of 4 is 2. So that means I have 18. 16 plus 2 is 18. Negative 8 plus 18, excuse me, is positive 10. All right, let's see how you did on this one up here. J is negative 1 plus 3 minus h, which is 4, squared. Negative 1 plus 3 minus negative 4, that's going to give me a negative 1. Negative 1 times negative 1 is positive 1. Negative 1 plus positive 1 is 0. Cool. Hey, and guess what? Let me give you a bonus one. J squared minus 3h squared k all over j cubed plus 2. All right, let's do this bonus one here. So go ahead and try to get to work on this. Go ahead and pause now and get to work. And let's come back. All right, so I'm going to plug in those numbers, then I'm going to use PEMDAS. So j is negative 1, so I've got negative 1 squared minus 3 times h squared, h is 4, and k is negative 1/2. All right, over j cubed, j is negative 1 again, cubed plus 2. All right, let's look at the numerator first here. So negative 1 squared. So I don't have any parentheses that I need to worry about. I've got these exponents though. Negative 1 times negative 1 is positive 1. Minus negative 3. I've got to do this power before I can do anything else, or this exponent. So 4 times 4, 4 squared is 16. So 3 times 16 times negative 1/2. All right. All over negative 1 cubed, so that's negative 1 times negative 1, which is positive 1, times negative 1 again, negative 1. Negative 1 plus 2. All right, let's keep going. 1. Now let's do all of this mess here. So let's do 1/2 times 16. That's going to get me 8, right? And it's negative. So I've got negative 8 times a negative 3, which is going to give me a positive 24, over negative 1 plus 2, which is 1. And so I end up with 1 plus 24, which is 25, divided by 1, which is 25. Whew, that was a good U-try. Okay, now we just have this little bit left of this chapter here that seems kind of weird and added on in a strange way, but no, it works just fine actually. So here is an example of evaluating a formula expression. All right. Expressions. Evaluate formula expressions. So here's an expression, an example. So I've got a telephone pole. Distance around telephone pole is 78.5 inches. 78.5 inches. A construction worker needs to cut halfway through the pole. We need to cut halfway through the pole. How far will he need to cut? Okay, halfway, right? Well, how far is halfway? Okay, so let's draw this telephone pole. So it's a circle, because we're going to cut it, right? So it's a pole that's in a cylindrical shape, but when we cut it, then it's going to be a circle. So we know that all the way around the pole is 78.5 inches. Now, that's the circumference. All the way around the pole once is the circumference. The circumference of a circle is pi 2r, or pi times the diameter. All right, now we want to cut halfway through the pole. So we want to cut just halfway. Now, this distance right here, so we got all the way halfway through, all the way to the center. So that means this distance right here is the radius. I'm looking for the radius, right? That's the distance that I went. So really, how far will he cut halfway through? That's the radius. That's what I'm looking for. All right, now that we got that straightened out, let's see if we can figure out how to find what the radius is here. The circumference is 78.5 inches. And we know that that equals pi 2r, or pi times diameter. And so I got to solve for r. I'm going to divide both sides by pi 2, and then I end up with r all by itself, right? So what I do to one side, I do to the other, right? These 2's and pi's go away, and now they're under here. Now, if I were to put this into my calculator, 78.5 divided by 2 times pi, then I would end up with approximately, the radius would be approximately 12.5 inches. But this is how we set it up. We divide both sides by pi times 2, plug that into our calculator, and then you get the radius, because I have the radius all by itself on this side now. All right, so that is that one. Let's do a U-try, and then we'll be done with this section. A certain fish needs, fish needs 1,200 cubic inches of water to live in, to thrive in. The base of the tank will be, okay, so we're making a tank or something, I guess, right? The tank base will be 20 inches by 10 inches. How tall does the tank need to be? How tall does it need to be? So I've got a tank. Let's draw the tank, just to get a good idea. Okay, so it's going to be 20 inches and 10 inches. 20 inches wide, 10 inches long. How tall is it going to be? Okay, so we know that the whole thing needs to be 1,200 cubic inches in volume. So the volume of a tank, or a rectangular prism like this, is length times width times height. I know my volume, 1,200 cubic inches. I know my length, which is, we'll just say it's 20, or that's my width, but it doesn't matter. And then my width or my length is 10, so I know those two. And now I just need to know what my height is. So I say 20 times 10. Oh, I didn't have you stop. This is a U-try. Oh, goodness. Oh, well. It's okay. 20 times 10 is 200 times h equals 1,200. I want the h by itself. Divide by 200. Divide by 200. The height, so this goes away, this goes away. 12 divided by 2 is 6. The height needs to be 6 inches. 20 inches by 10 inches by 6 inches. That just seems like a weird answer, but I don't see if it doesn't look like I did anything wrong, so I think we're good. And that is 1-1 for Algebra 2. Good luck on the homework.